Excellent. And we got Damien here today, and he's going to start with a tip to get you more followers, because Damien's a social media expert. Damien, TikTok, give us a tip.
So one of the things with TikTok is you have to actually get going and have something to take away in the first 2 seconds. A way around that to increase engagement is to have captions. If you have captions in your video from the very start, people start to read. That engages the different parts of their brain, and people will actually stop their scroll to read. That tells the algorithm that people are interested in your content. Your video will actually get recommended more in the feed.
Sweet. So that's brilliant. That's a great tip, actually. So in all fairness, people will stop to read your thing. Off it goes. It will tell TikTok that, oh, people are interested in this. So if you have subtitles on it, and then push it out more.
Yeah, like if you have text, people will read it. If you present text in front of someone, they'll read it. And what that means is they're going to stop the scroll. TikTok's algorithm sees that they've stopped to look at your content. And if they spend over 2 or 3 seconds looking at your content, that's telling the algorithm people find it interesting. That'll get you more views. That'll get you more recommendations.
Excellent. And Damien this is literally his job. He gets paid for this. So that's great, Damien. It's absolutely fabulous to have you here today. And look, what we're going to do, we're going to talk about ChatGPT, but we're going to do it different to everyone else out there. We're going to, Damien, try to dumb it down for us to begin with, your view on ChatGPT, and sum it up in a couple of minutes, couple of seconds, whatever, what you think ChatGPT is, and more importantly, is it going to kill us?
So, maybe, kind of. So,
whoa, I wasn't expecting that, but let's go.
So, ChatGPT is almost like your personal butler or your personal tutor. And what it's done is it's gone to a library, it's read everything in the library about everything that's in every book. From that, then it remembers it all. And you can then ask ChatGPT, your new butler, your new tutor, to write an essay on a topic that's been in that library. And it goes off and it writes a fairly good essay on that. And it's kind of at the level now of maybe leaving cert essay writing. It still feels not perfect, but it's actually quite good. But it can do amazing things. You can actually ask it to write a letter, an old school letter, or an email to someone, apologetic email, very formal email, informal email. It does all that kind of stuff. So what it's done is it's looked at pretty much every document that's found on the internet. It's put into a giant database, and then it can create stuff from that.
That's such a great way of putting it, because thanks, you just kind of explained it to me in a better way as well. Whoa. And I'm going to actually jump here now before we go into the ins and outs of it. Damien, in all fairness, if it's that good and everything, is it not just a matter of time before that can put that knowledge into a proper robot android, and we have kind of, like, you have your ultimate helper there? Is it, or is that too far a reach?
The trouble is, just like your doctor says, don't go on the internet to look up this disease. You shouldn't trust it for stuff that you're looking for scientific data or accurate data. It's almost like a bluffer going into an exam, and they just read the crib notes from somebody else but just before they go into the exam, and you'll get by. But like, lots of people have done things like put symptoms of a disease into ChatGPT, and it goes, you've got cancer, you're going to die. And it turns out like you just might have hives. So it's all based on what's being fed into it, and the way it's being fed in right now, it's just everything on the internet that's been dumped. So if someone has an opinion on something that's not factual, ChatGPT can still push that back into whatever it's writing for you.
So basically at the moment, it's just like Google on steroids, or it's in the sense that it's still dragging the information from the same pool of information. So is it?
Yeah, it's like Wikipedia is pretty much verified and checked, and they've got thousands, tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of editors that go through a Wikipedia article and go, that's not correct. We need backup for that. So if you look at the bottom of a Wikipedia article, there's always links to other articles that show that this has been checked and this has been verified. But ChatGPT doesn't do that. It's just looked at every web page. So if you write a piece of fiction about how to find gold based on the way trees grow in a certain area, ChatGPT doesn't know if that's fictional or not. And so if someone asks ChatGPT to write an article on how to find gold in Crosshaven and Cork, it can create stuff that seems very realistic. And the thing is, it's definitely ChatGPT is a confident white man giving you information.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
So it may not be factually correct, but the potential is huge. I see it as the same way when Photoshop came out first, it changed the way design was done, and it actually, to me, in my view, kind of democratized design. You've now got a tool that can do some amazing things, and it's just using that tool properly, and that tool will get refined. Look at the first days of Photoshop; it was basic. It did barely anything, but still changed things. Look at Photoshop today.
But see, now you brought up a very, very interesting point, because when Photoshop came out and you said it changed graphic design, yeah, I'd imagine when Photoshop came out first, people went, "This is going to take graphic designers' jobs." It enhanced their jobs, I would imagine. So it is going to take certain people's jobs, in the sense that, we were discussing earlier about copyright in writing out for websites and all that. Where do you fall on, right, I'm going to put you on the spot. Good thing, a bad thing, ChatGPT.
I think it's a very good thing. I was actually trying to find articles when Photoshop came out first, where designers said it was like stealing our jobs and so on. But in a way, to become a designer, you might have had to intern for free for years, or you might have needed a college degree or something, and you might have had means to become a designer. And you had to know someone to get into a design company. Whereas when Photoshop came out, someone that more than likely pirated Photoshop, downloaded it off Ware's website and started using it. And then all of a sudden you had 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds creating amazing stuff. And there's plenty of these stories of where those people were doing videos and stuff at home, and they ended up getting a deal in Hollywood. So it's making it more accessible for everyone. So I think it's a very good thing. I think there needs to be more kind of scientific verifying or vetting of information.
Right. And for the sake of an argument, I'd like to have an argument with you, Damien, okay?
No, you don't.
Well, like that one. Right. I don't have children, but in this scenario, I do have children. Damien, my child is going to, 9 years of old, lovely child, Molly, is going to not do her homework anymore. She's just going to use ChatGPT. It's going to destroy her schooling and society. What's your view?
Go, Molly. I'd give her ChatGPT, because what ChatGPT, when it works well, when it produces content, is it gets you to break down what it needs from you. So you could ask it to say, write a story about V8 and when he travels to Paris, for example, and it'll just plop out something. But if you structure it, and if you teach Molly how to go, okay, here's how you structure a story, and she comes up with how stories work well and what the structure is, then she can actually start saying, okay, now I've got something I've just thought of that I want done. And she gives all the inputs. So she's creating all the ingredients, and she just lets, in a way, ChatGPT just do the donkey's work. For example, people are giving out like, blah, 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 it's going to ruin writing and it's stealing from writers and so on. And my whole argument is, have you read a James Patterson book? James Patterson books, there's like 10 come out every year, and it's actually a team of writers. James Patterson comes up with an idea, and that's it. And he has other people do all the work for him. Damien Hirst, the very famous artist, has a factory where he actually gets interns and probably artists that aren't making any money, and they do all the work for him. He just signs his name to it. So it's just a tool at the end of the day.
Do you know something, Damien? I love the way you explained. I really genuinely love the way you explained it there, because you are very good. Because I obviously, that Molly's story was a bit made up, but the thing about it is that schools can embrace it or try to fight it, and you can't fight it because it's coming down the lines. But one of the reasons why I asked you on this show is because you and me are in communication a lot, and you have learned, and you have been teaching me basically, that by posing the questions, you can just go to ChatGPT and it's kind of like nearly writing code. I've seen you do some really interesting things about writing stuff in ChatGPT and then going over to other AI and doing videos. Maybe explain a bit of that, or your artwork as well was very, very interesting, or the AI or whatever.
Yeah, so I registered a website called Metaverse Strategy. So everyone talks about being an expert at the metaverse, and it's all new and everything. So I did, research to see what are the most Googled questions on the metaverse. So I got those questions, and then I got list of professions. And so I got ChatGPT to write articles for me. So it was like, what does the metaverse mean for butchers? What does the metaverse mean for pharmacists? So it created all these articles that read fairly well. And I put them up on this metaverse strategy website. Then I said, create SEO, so search optimized for Google, create optimized descriptions and titles for all these pages. ChatGPT did that for me. And then I use one of the graphic AI programs called Diffusion AI. And I said, just create an image of a butcher's in this futuristic space with people with headsets. So I created about 30 or 40 pages on that, I guess, over the space of 2 days. And I've got a whole website now, which actually the information is quite good. And so I'm just now seeing, I've submitted that to Google, and I'm going to see how well that totally AI created website will work.
That's mad. It's mad way. It's the mad way when you showed me that video. It's mad way that you wrote that. Basically, you inputted the information into ChatGPT. It took the information, created a kind of story or a script, and then went back over and put it into AI, and it developed a movie. You know, how long do you think is it before, we'll say, the Patterson book story you told me there comes to movies more, in the sense that when, like, well, I don't even know what I'm watching anymore is real or not. I generally don't, because it's that good. I'm not saying that and yet we're just so early, we're just sitting around the campfire yet when it comes to this, is my feeling on it yet.
There was, what was that Star Wars movie, one of the prequels, it was set in its own world. Come
on, you can be nerdy, I'll get out.
But it was kind of like the prequel to the Princess Leia movie. They go to a planet and they have to find the plans for the Death Star. Anyway, the guy who directed that, he created the movie himself from recordings, clips he took from video games and from other movies. So I'd love to get a copy of this, but he basically designed and created a whole movie based on other movie clips. So he just edited and cut and stuff like that. A bit like some of the DJs that just sample other songs and they create great songs from it. This guy sampled all these other movies, said, so I want this to happen next, like has happened in this movie, but different. And he did all of this. And then he showed all his special effects people and his cinematography people going, this is what I want. And they're going, cool, we get this. So I was able to explain it easily, because up to that point, people were still using kind of whiteboards and drawings and stuff. So the story was actually on a wall, all put out like that. And he did this thing just from clips. And I think we'll have the same with AI, that you'll say, okay, design me an intro to a movie. It's a science fiction movie, and it starts from looking at a planet kind of view, and then this happens. So you can type all of this in. So again, it's there's so many people out there that have amazing ideas in their head, and they haven't the talent to draw or haven't the talent to create stuff on a computer. Now, years ago, Photoshop came along and people that had talent on computers, they were able to create stuff. So we don't even need that now. It's just someone that has a good creative idea. So I think what it means is people that are very creative but might not have skill sets can now actually push their stuff out there. So I think in the future, people will be just pitching stuff nonstop and creating these show reels that they go to Hollywood, and Hollywood goes, that's great. Let's make it a big Hollywood blockbuster. I absolutely love it. I'm delighted you came on for this, because you explained it so well. It's kind of like people learn differently, this and that. As I spoke a couple of times, I have issues with letters, reading, writing, dyslexia at times. But even doing my own ads there over the years, I loved walking in and trying to explain to graphic designers or something what you wanted done. And if you see what's being done out there on TikTok, seriously, the talent out there isn't it? Whereas people are now having their tools to create amazing talent on TikTok. So you're kind of nearly saying that with ChatGPT, it's just an essential tool. People can give them the prompts, give ChatGPT the prompt, and with the other AI, their ideas can come to life. Is that kind of what you're saying, I think? Yeah, like you mentioned TikTok. I think TikTok is the greatest creative resource we've ever seen. It just makes people like do amazing things. So much is coming out of TikTok. And I think the likes of these AI tools now will allow these very creative people to start creating their own stuff and get it out there to more people. So TikTok is like a billion TV channels, I guess, all in one now, where people are their own TV channels. And people can become very big with that. So I think, like, tied in with all these new video AI tools, text AI tools, we'll see just, I think, a massive kind of creative explosion that we've not seen since probably sound came into movies, or actually movies got created in the first place.
Do you know something? I really got so much out of this, or getting so much out of this conversation, because you're after explaining it in such a beautiful way, in a sense that I was always saying there that this is not, I don't think it's going to take job. One thing I say is back 100 years ago, there wasn't such thing as computer programs as such, programmers out there as such. There wasn't social media experts out there as such. And now there's a whole generation of people doing that. So it's going to be intriguing to see what jobs, roles are out there. And I can see you being so far ahead of a lot of people on it, in the sense one of the job roles will be definitely getting someone to input this into ChatGPT. I don't know, do we have a name for an inputter of ChatGPT?
It's prompter, I think.
A prompter. Yeah, a prompter. All right, we're coming up close to the 20-minute mark. Damien, you have to come back, but you're interested.
Pick a different topic. Yeah. So just before we finish, there's this whole concept, not to call it socialist, called fully automated luxury communism.
Yeah.
So it comes kind of from sci-fi. And the idea is that AI will take over all the kind of the rough work that we do. So it means everything is automated by AI. They do all our jobs. But what that means then is that they'll do all the mining, they'll do all the digging, they'll do all the productivity. We don't have to work. And it means then that resource-wise, just stuff is created for us. One would have the same amount of money kind of thing. And then that leaves us just to be creative, and be creative if you want to, or just do nothing if we want to. I think AI can actually start to bring about that.
We would, yes, and then we'd probably get a minimum working wage. You know what? Go on, talk.
It's very interesting. It's this idea that there's science fiction. Written about it, where money doesn't matter anymore because there's plenty of resources for everyone. So anyone can do whatever they want if they want to do it. And that then creates whole worlds or planets of people just having fun and being very, very creative.
I agree.
Because they have all the resources.
I agree. I think just sitting back, I don't think people will ever sit back and do nothing, even if they won't. And it's a myth that they won't do anything.
We'll do something that we always wanted to do.
It will, to get away from the jobs that are so repetitive and the whole thing. Yeah, I tell you what, that's a conversation for another day, a bloody interesting conversation as well. Damien, I've really enjoyed you coming on. Do you have anything you want to plug?
No.
Oh, well,
I'm all good. Yeah.
We're a pure podcast.
Check me out on the internet or something.
The Twitter is big.
Try and use ChatGPT yourself, and and be creative and have fun.
Yeah. Great, thank you very much, and we're calling this a talkcast anyway. All right, thank you.
Bye bye.